You ready to inspire? All right.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do at this point will not really matter because your skin color has already confessed to the crime.
All right.
You have the right to an attorney who will try his hardest to see that justice is served, but a jury of your peers, aka our attorneys, will have him outmatched 12-1. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to you free of charge because he is also on our payroll. Do you understand these rights as they have been read to you? Whoa, 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 don't move. I see you reaching for your 9mm wallet. I see you reaching for your 38 caliber inhaler. Whoa, I said don't move. Stop breathing. You're puffing up your chest. I feel threatened. Stop resisting arrest. Is that a weapon? Lay down. No, 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 face down. No, 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 face ground. Bang, pow, oops, I did it again. I'm a pop star. No, I'm a pop star. No, I'm a cop star. No, by the time I get back to the precinct, I will be a rock star. Clap for 'em. I have more trophies with black names on them than BET award winners. Clap for 'em. I will probably be honored at the NYPD award dinner. Clap for 'em. They are going to throw me a parade. Clap for 'em, because when I clap for 'em, they go to the grave. Black boys' cries fall on deaf white ears. Black mothers' tears keep graveyard grass green. Black mothers' tears keep graveyard grass green, and black men's bones are the gavel with which judges finalize false convictions. Wake up, black boys. It's time to declare war. I wonder if Trayvon Martin's mother, how she feels that her son is a household name and he is not a household body. I wonder if Freddie Gray's family can still say grace over their food even though their prayers could not stop the thief that robbed him of his last breath. I wonder when Tamir Rice died playing cops and robbers if he still saw the former more innocent than the latter. I wonder if black women feel closer to God because they're steady having to lay to rest their only begotten sons. I wonder if black people's skin got darker because we're closer to the sun, then how many years will it take us to grow bulletproof skin because we're closer to the guns? I wonder.
Come on, baby.
I wonder if black people's skin got darker because we're closer to the sun, how many years it will take us to grow bulletproof skin because we're closer to the guns. I'm tired. I'm tired of going to funerals where babies are being buried in boxes bigger than the ones they used to put their toys in. I'm tired of not being able to say, see you later to my friends. We're steady practicing our goodbye words to each other. I'm tired of not being able to tell my girlfriend, let's wait until we're married. I'm scared she will walk down the aisle and see me in a box before she sees me in a tuxedo. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired because I'm forced to stay woke in a society whose laws are written as lullabies to black people. I'm tired. I'm tired. I wonder if America will be alarmed when she wakes up and sees black folk ain't sleeping no more because the American dream is the African American nightmare. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired because I'm forced to stay woke. And if I finally go to sleep, I might stay asleep forever.
Salatu wassalam Rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and final messenger. As to what follows, family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love with no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit me up on Patreon. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. And this topic today I really wanted to reach out to the youth on this one because as most of us know, there is a crisis that is looming over our heads. And the way that I see it, our youth are probably the only chance that we have right now to actually, make it through what is coming, the inevitable that is coming. So for our youth, those youth who are like teenagers and in their 20s and whatnot, this is going to be the realest advice you're ever going to hear in your young lives, like straight up. And before I get into, I'm going to tell you that if you can't sit down and pay attention to this talk, and you need a TikTok or a Snapchat or a Gram or something like that, and you need to play some games or whatever, right? Then it's because probably you're not receiving enough dopamine to stimulate your pleasure sensors. And that's a pretty good indicator how much you're about to lose in life. So this is very important for you to pay attention to. We as Black men, we are the victims of mental, physical, spiritual, and economic warfare. So your fathers have gone through it. Your grandfathers have gone through it. Your uncles have gone through it. You are about to go through it if you haven't gone through it already. Some of you are going through it. Some of you are about to go through it. And the difference between us, the older ones, and the younger generation is that this particular generation, they can actually come out successful and turn this 467-year catastrophe around. Like, I believe that. It's very possible. Why? Because even though the generation that's coming up is actually the most unproductive, lazy, uncouth generation to ever be raised, this is a fact, right? However, at the end of the day, ironically, it kind of works to your advantage, okay? It's an embarrassment. Yes, and it's an embarrassment to our forefathers who were begging God and fighting for our freedom. And ironically, this situation actually works towards your advantage, believe it or not, especially if you're Muslim. Especially if you're Muslim, right? This is because your competition is peddling weakness. And they are weaklings who are peddling weakness, and weakness is not, under any circumstances, from the attributes of Allah. It is not, weakness is not from the attributes of Allah. Rather, Allah is powerful, and He is the power. And there's a real chance for a shift in power from these despised, forgotten, loathed Black youth. And there is not only that, there's if you truly recognize your competition, for example, like if you know who they are, like what do you mean? Like some of us, we have this type of psychological, you could say like a quirk within Black males, where they think that their competition is, for example, the thugs, the Pookies and Ray Rays, the rappers, the ballers, because all of these images have been bombarding you since you were a baby. You get it? And if you believe that that's your competition, right? That these people are your competition, that's who you're going to be. And those markets are saturated and played out. And we have, in our time, a completely untapped market for young Black men. And we have this market that is not only is it untapped, but because of the upcoming economic and educational crisis, that if you focus on these things, that by the time we get out of it, you will show the world not only that the impossible can become possible, but also as Muslim men, there's no power or movement except by Allah Himself. If you look at the Quran and the stories of the Quran, for example, the Beni Israel, at the time of Fir'aun, They were the despised. They were the lowly. They were the humiliated. And Allah gave them success. If you look at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, those Arabs, those desert Arabs in that time, they were the same thing, the despised, the lowly, the ignorant, the unread, the unlettered. And now, with this Quran and the Sunnah that we have, and this opportunity, if you look at it as an opportunity, we have a real opportunity to show the world that not only that Allah is real, but Allah is powerful. And those of us who are older than you, we've already been through what you're going through right now in terms of the social engineering, the entertainment, the music, the mass incarceration, inferiority complexes, the war on drugs, the idea that success can only come through backwards, debaucherous behavior. We've been through that already. What you're experiencing is nothing new. The only thing that's changed is the technology. So you're coming up and you are the first generation that actually has a distinct advantage of widely available knowledge and experienced elders to help you along. And Allah says that the plot of Shaitan is weak. And indeed, and in hindsight, this is a fact actually. Despite all the wickedness and evil that's happening in the world, the plot of Shaitan is actually weak, right? People will learn to hate this wickedness and the evil and wickedness that's happening in the world. They'll learn to hate it. And they are beginning to hate it. You are seeing before your eyes mass polarization. You're seeing this happen before your eyes. So, without further ado, okay, I want to get into my advice to the Black Muslim male youth. Who is your competition? Your competition, first of all, let's define it. Your competition is actually not the Pookies and the Ray Rays. These are bottom feeders. It is not actually those people who are unambitious. Because if, like I mentioned, if you think that's your competition, then in fact, that's what you're going to be. But in reality, especially if you're Muslim, these people, especially if you're Muslim, you have knowledge of Allah and the Quran and the Sunnah and whatnot. If you look at how the Quran was able to take the lowest of the low and turn them into the most respectable on earth, the same thing can happen to you. So your competition is much higher than that. Not the weaklings. Not the effeminate. So the first advice I got to give you is from the most effective plots of the enemy, basically against Black youth. And this plot has been happening for hundreds of years, okay? And that is of sexual deviancy, okay? This was practiced from the times of slavery. And that now that you have our entertainers nonstop calling to every type of immorality, particularly in the Black community, this plot is something that bankrupts you not only spiritually, but also financially. So if you practice sexual discipline, not only will be at an incredible advantage spiritually and financially, but by the time you finish whatever training or education you're going for, you will essentially have a wide variety of options in terms of choosing a wife. Furthermore, if you look around you, right? If you look around the Black community, for example, look around our community, and what is the end result of those without any sexual discipline? Right? Do you see examples of success or poverty? Do you see stability or instability? This is why sexual immorality is pushed so heavily in the Black community. And you will find that with us, in the Black community specifically, you'll find things that you will never see in any other community ever. And this is not an accident. This is by design. And the only people with a chance of actually ending this debaucherous behavior just happens to be the Muslim. It just happens to be the Muslims. Right? So your phones and your devices, they are actually weapons. They're not toys. Even though you might think you're playing games and entertaining yourself, these are not devices of entertainment. These are actually being weaponized against you to keep you acting on impulses like animals. That's the whole point of making these devices widely available, particularly to youth. So if you trash your devices, your productivity will instantly shoot up. And as well as you will be protecting yourself from all kinds of sexual immorality. And Allah says in the Quran, don't even go near zina, la taqarrabu zina, right? Don't even go near it. In our times, when we say Bismillah before we enter a house to keep the shaitan out, we still let the shaitan in every single time we bring our devices inside our homes with us. You get it? For me, my children, my particular children, I don't let them have phones for that specific reason. And my children, right, even though me, myself, I wasn't an A student, all my children are A students. I'm not saying that to brag, but there has to be a relationship between the older generation and the younger generation so that the younger generation can benefit from the experiences of the older generation. You get it? So I'm telling you this because we've already been where you are. And if you can control this one aspect as young Black men and young Black Muslim men, then you will basically put yourself at an incredible advantage as compared to the rest of the community. Okay. The next advice I have for you, the second one, is that when you set your goals, first of all, if you don't have any goals, you have to set them. Because a lot of Black youth, they don't even have goals. I remember the first time I was asked when I was in high school, where do you see yourself in 5 years? My father never asked me that question. My parents never asked me this question. I got asked this by a guidance counselor. I didn't even know what she was talking about. You have to think like that. You have to set not just goals, but you have to set massive, big goals. You understand? From the psychological trauma in the Black community is that we always get told that we can't do what we get told what we can't do, and we can justify everything that we can't do with excuses. You get it? We have all kinds of excuses. You know what I'm talking about. If you're Black, you know what I'm talking about. Every excuse under the sun we can come up with for not accomplishing anything. We're able to do that very well. And this is again from social engineering and whatnot. But when you're Muslim, right? We as Muslims, we believe that nothing is impossible with Allah. You get it? And our goals, because our goals, particularly in the Black community, they're just tiny and backwards, and it's due to a lot of lack of confidence, which a lot of us suffer from, and it's passed down from generation to generation. And you're living in a time that regardless of whatever obstacle you're facing, you can legit accomplish your goals. That's our time. right? And that's for real, right? The true obstacle, really, it's in the mirror. And the goals that you set, they must be so big and lofty and unrealistic, right? And you must work towards those goals, because the growth comes in being uncomfortable. And if you're not uncomfortable, then you will never grow. If you are consistently doing things that are within your comfort zone, you're always going to remain mediocre and average, because you're not extending yourself. You're not stretching yourself. You get it? And in Islam, if you look at even at the Sahaba, the majority of them, they weren't able to read. But why were they taking reading seriously? Because of the Quran. And because they were able to get that Quran, they established, the Arabic grammar, the Arabic morphology. They were able to write books and all this kind of stuff because they took that stuff seriously. You get it? They set lofty goals. You always have to set lofty goals. Don't do the things that are always in your comfort zone. Do the things that make you uncomfortable. You need to chase discomfort and step out your comfort zone. Become that doctor or the lawyer or engineer. These goals of becoming a poet, you know what I mean, or a rapper or things of that nature. This right here is basically mediocrity and psychological weakness. And in our time, the main reason why people are psychologically weak is because they're distracted by devices. But it's because of this educational crisis, there's going to be so much demand for people with skills that if you just put a little bit of effort into getting skills, you're going to be ahead of a lot of people. Okay? The third thing I wanted to mention is that you must be ruthless when it comes to your time. You have to be ruthless and uncompromising. Some of you might have heard the statement, time is money. Your time is actually your wealth. That is the truth. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, he said that, take care of 4 things before they leave you. And he said, the first one he mentioned, your time before you don't have it. Okay, your youth before you become old, your health before you become sick, and your life before you die. You understand? So your time is actually your wealth. And anyone who says that they don't have time to accomplish whatever goal that is that they're trying to accomplish, they are lying. Okay? And they are making excuses for themselves. In Islam, we make excuses for our brothers, or we make excuses for our sisters. Ain't nothing about Islam saying to make excuse for yourself. You get it? For yourself is accountability. And you have to account for your own time. Using your time effectively, it has like 3 main components to it, right? The first is the actual planning and scheduling your time and what you're going to do with it, okay? So you should take out like a day out of the week to plan your all the slots of your day. You need to plan that out, okay? The second is the discipline to actually sit down and do what it is you wanted to do within that time frame. And the third, and this is important, this is very, very important, right, is to squeeze out as much as possible out of that time. Like squeeze it, right? What do you mean? I mean, whatever it is that you're doing within that time frame, don't just dilly-dally in it. You go as fast as you possibly can within that time frame. If you have a chore to do, you do it quickly. If you're going to exercise, you exercise quickly. You understand? But don't just chill. Develop the habits of working quickly within the time that you got. Okay, the fourth one is whatever you do, whatever you're going to do, you do it, right? Either you do it or you don't do it, but you don't just try it. Okay? Either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it, but you don't just try it. Meaning, you don't start something without finishing it. Okay? Whatever you're going to do, either you do it, you finish and you follow through with it, or you don't do it at all. But you don't start something and then say, oh, halfway through or 3/4 way through, oh, I'm not going to do this no more. You get it? You have to become elite at whatever it is that you're doing. Don't just become average. Become elite. Become the best at whatever it is you're going to do. So do it and do it wholeheartedly. Even unless it says, you know, when you come into the religion, come into the religion wholeheartedly. Okay? Your generation is facing a crisis of mediocrity. And that's the truth. Okay? They're facing a crisis of mediocrity and averageness. And all you have to do is dedicate yourself to whatever it is that you're doing, destroy all your distractions, and you will own everything around you. Okay? Everything and everyone. Okay? I always, particularly my son, I get on his case all the time about this. Right? Mind you, my son, mashallah, is on honor roll, but I tell him all the time, whatever you're going to do, right? Because my son, inshallah, he wants to get into engineering. Allah make it easy for him, I mean. But I tell him, make sure you finish and you don't just become the average. You become the best at what you're doing, because you will be the boss of all of your friends. That's how a Muslim has to think. It's not good enough for Muslims, particularly black Muslim boys and men, to think to become average. That's not good enough. The Prophet, he said, when you slaughter well. You get it? When you slaughter well. You sharpen your knife and you slaughter properly. Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, he said, not completing tasks is from doyuf al-iman, like it's from weakness in iman. When you start something, you don't finish it. That's from weakness in iman. You start something, you finish it, and you don't just finish it, you annihilate it. You crush it. You get it? If you can't change the people in your environment, then change your environment. If you can't change the people in your environment, then change your environment. Meaning, you have to find the elite, high-ranking members in your community and befriend those people. Because mediocrity produces more mediocrity. And if all your friends are average, then chances are you're going to be like them. Okay? Even me, that's why I don't really talk too much to too many people on social media like that. I get all kinds of messages all the time, and like I don't get involved in debates and argumentation online because of that. That's one thing. People who talk a lot, chances are they're doing very little. That's just the truth. If you got time to be talking all over social media and whatnot on a regular basis, then chances are you don't do much. That's why you got time to talk and argue and debate and all that kind of stuff. And if you put yourself in those type of spaces, then that's what you'll become. So crush anything that you do and be around the crushers. Be around excellence. Don't be around mediocrity. Okay? And the last one I want to give you, and this is very important. Like all of them are really important, to be honest. Okay. So the last one I want to give you is invest in yourself, not sneakers. Okay. Invest in yourself. Find mentors. Find extra classes. Always improve on your skill sets so people will seek you out. a lot of the times, particularly in the Black community, we make up obstacles for ourselves, obstacles that really don't exist, right? Honestly, in our time, the excuses are so little if you want to get a skill, because you can get skills literally anywhere. All right. If you want to learn Arabic, you can do that. If you want to learn Quran, you can do that. But what we do is we make excuses for ourselves, right? So we'll say, for example, oh, I don't like this teacher. I don't like this thing. You don't have to like your teacher. You don't have to like your class. What you have to do is get the skill. That's what I mean about mindset. You have to change the way that you're thinking, because Black youth, particularly Black youth, have been targeted for a lot of programming, programming in mediocrity and being effeminate and uncouth and unruly and all this kind of craziness, this gangster mentality and whatnot. So if the human brain is so powerful that whatever you think that you are that. You get it? So if you think that you cannot do something because of some teacher or whatnot, guess what? You're not going to be able to do it because of the teacher, because you made that excuse. If you think as a man that you are a woman, it's Pride Month, guess what? The human brain will trick yourself into thinking that you're a woman. If a human brain can trick a man into thinking that they're a woman, then a human brain can trick you, okay, into thinking that you are successful even though you're not successful yet. And all success is with Allah. And you have to invest in yourself. And you have to find the right people around that will help you in your skill sets. A lot of times we think that we have an economics problem. Well, really what we have is a skill set problem. Why would anybody, put their time and money into you if you don't have any skills? You have to listen to your elders and respect them. And you have to make a distinction between an elder and somebody who is older. There's a difference between an elder and somebody who's older. Everybody who is older than you, everybody who's an elder is older than you. Yes, this is true, right? But not everybody who's older than you is an elder. Okay? They may just be older than you in age. But there are people who live to 60, 70, 80, and really that 80-year time span, they really lived maybe 20 years or 30 years, because they only produced maybe 20 years in that time span. So they have really nothing to offer you except for what not to do. But people like, for example, a good example is Dr. Abdul Haq Baker, for example. Dr. Abdul Haq Baker, he got into the habit of making logs when he was young, right? A daily log, right? He writes a journal, you know what I mean? And you'll see that this is a habit of great minds, right? That they write journals. They make journals because they want to make sure that they're utilizing and exploiting their time as effectively and efficiently as possible. And how they do that is write a daily journal. But some of you might say, oh, I don't have no time for that. Do you have time to go on Facebook? Do you have time to go on Instagram? Do you have time to go and watch this YouTube right now? Then you have time to make a journal. See, because he was able to do that, he gave the most detailed historical account I've ever seen about Salafiyah in the West. Because he came out with dates, quotes, what people said, everything. Because he recorded everything. You understand? That is an investment in yourself. You understand? You invest in yourself with your time. You invest in yourself with your wealth. You put value and you respect what Allah has given you in time and wealth. And investing in those with experience is invaluable. And taking courses and upgrading your skill sets to keep yourself competitive is invaluable. So these are the things, particularly because maybe you're not hearing it from your fathers or your mothers or whatnot, and you're not getting like some very pointed, real advice. You know what I mean? But if you just take even this video right here and listen to like once a week or once every couple of weeks, just to keep reminding you, you know, that yes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and this generation coming up, right, is imperative for our success. And there are elders among you who are invested in the success of the youth. And you're not alone. You know how many of us, we feel like we're alone, and this is not the case. This is not the case. We are all experiencing very similar experiences. You are not alone. Just trust me on this one. And you have a larger network than you think of brothers that are more than willing and ready to help you. But inshallah, I don't want to make this video too long for sure, because it's advice to the youth mostly. But I thank everybody who participated with me. Please share this video. If you have sons, particularly if you have sons, you know, and over the age of 12 and all the way up into their 20s, let them listen to this, inshallah. Hayakumullah. Subhanakallah bihamdik wa shadala ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.